Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video you're going to build here one face recognition system using Python and OpenCV. In the previous system it have some problem, it cannot detect the unknown faces. But now in this project you're going to also detect the unknown faces of the person. So what are the requirements that we actually needed? So we need Python 3.6.5, the version of the Python that we are going to use here. Then we have the OpenCV 4.5.2. That's it. In order to build this project, you're going to follow here 3 steps. In the step number 1, you're going to collect the user data, the face data. And the step number 2, we are going to train the model using OpenCV. And the step number 3, we are going to test it out, right? So now without any further ado, let's get started on the video. So in step number 1, you're going to collect the user data, the face data with their corresponding ID. So for that, what you're going to do here, first you're going to create here one webcam. And after that, you're going to detect the face of the person. Then you're going to store this data inside one folder that's called dataset. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create here a new Python file. Let's say called data collect.py. So make sure that you use here Python 3.6, right? Make sure that you use Python 3.6 because this program will not support it in Python 3.7, Python 3.8, or Python 3.9 or the latest version of the Python. Because I'm going to use here the algorithm that's called LBPH algorithm. So this is only available inside the Python 3.6. You can also see that my interpreter is right now selected as Python 3.6. You can also select here, you can see I have Python 3.9, I have Python 3.8.13, and also Python 3.8.5. So make sure that you use here Python 3.6.5 or Python 3.6.0, any kind of version of Python 3.6. Also, you need to install here one library that's called OpenCV. So for that, you need to open a command prompt and make sure that you check your Python version. Let's say this is my Python 3.6, my interpreter. So if I import here the CB2, so you can see CB2 is imported. So if I try to check the version, so make sure that you use the same version that I'm actually using. So your CB2 version should be the Python version should be 3.6 and CB2 version should be 4.5.2. Make sure that version should be matched, right? So now I'm going to click here to close it. And now I'm going to import here the CB2 and also you need to install it, right? So the command should be pip install OpenCV Python. So this is OpenCV and this is called Python equal to 4.5.2. So this version you need to install, right? So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create here one webcam, and after that I'm going to detect the face of the person. So for that I'm going to import here the CB2. Then I'm going to create here one video capture object. So using this we can actually access the video webcam. So let's say cb2.video capture. So inside this I'm going to give here 0. I'm just going to use my default webcam. If you are using an external webcam, you need to give here the webcam number, right? Then I'm going to create here one while loop. So this should be the infinite loop. Then simple write and frame. So this is the by default basics of OpenCV. Okay, in every video you actually do it. So now we are going to use here cb2.imshow. Then give here one frame name. So let's say give here the frame, and our window name is nothing but our frame. Well, then you're going to use here one keyboard binding function that's called cb2.wordKey, and you're going to give here 1 so that it looks infinite. So it is looking for one key. So let's say if we are going to press key from the keyboard, this infinite loop will be break and your webcam should be off, right? So let's say make it break. Then what I'm going to do here, we're going to release the video. So let's say video.release. This is the release. And after that, you're going to destroy all the cb2.destroy all windows, right? That's it. So what I'm going to do here, if I click here to run this file, it will run the Python 3.8.5 file. So I need to run this from here, run Python file. So if I click on here, and it will run the Python 3.6.5 file, right? So let's run the file here. Okay, so now you can see webcam is on correctly. And now what I'm going to do here, we're going to detect the face of the person. And we are going to use this Haar Cascades classifier in order to detect the face, right? So let's do it. If I press Q from the keyboard, this is the Q. You can see here your webcam is right now off. That's why I just show you the keyboard also, so that you see that how the Q function would actually work here. So now we are going to delete the face of the person. So now you can see here we have file that's called Haar Cascade frontal default.xml file. This file. So using this, we are going to actually detect the face of the person. So let's copy this out. Now I am going to initialize it. So let's say here cb2 dot cascade classifier is called cascade classifier, and inside that I am going to give here my path. So this is my Haar Cascade frontal default dot xml file. And now let's sign into one variable that's called, let's say, face detect. Okay, this one. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to convert my frame into grayscale so that it can detect the face correctly, because this XML file actually training based on some grayscale images. So let's say make it gray equal to cb2.cbt color, this one, and I'm going to pass in my frame and my color code. So let's say cb2 dot color, that's called bgr to grayscale. So that should be the grayscale. Okay, this one. Well, now I'm going to detect the face, right? So let's say face detect multi-scale. So this is a multi-scale. I'm going to give here my frame. So this frame is nothing but grayscale and some ratio. So that's it. Now let's make it should be the faces. And now what I can do, I'm just going to create here one loop so that we can iterate the value of the x, y, w, and the h from the coordinate value. Let's say in faces. Then we're going to create here one rectangle. So let's say cb2 dot rectangle. So inside that we are going to give here my image. So my image is nothing but my actual frame, and the point one. So point should be the x and the y coordinate, and I need to also detect the x to y. So let's say x plus w to y plus h, and we have our color. So let's say give here on white. Okay, let's give here on red color. Then I'm just going to give it the thickness. Let's say give here thickness as 1, right? So it's just create here one rectangle over your face, right? So after creating a rectangle, so what I can do, we are going to crop the rectangle based on the x-axis and the y-axis, and store it inside one folder that's called dataset. So let's say make a folder that's called dataset. Okay, this is not a file. To create here a folder, let's say called datasets, right? Datasets. Now inside this folder, we are going to store all the file for the users, right? So for that, what I can do, we are going to take the input from the users, because we need to also give it the ID. So let's say ID equal to input. So let's say give here enter your ID, right? So let's say make this ID should be the integer, right? So this should be the ID. So this also should be ID. Well, so now what I can do, we can, okay, we don't need to actually make it integer. We can also do it. This is optional part. Now we're going to store it, right? So for that, what I can do, we need to also count that how many pictures that you're going to took. So let's say you're going to take the 500 pictures. So let's say count equal to 0. So after face is detected, you're going to make this count should be count plus 1. I mean, we're going to increment the count. Then we are going to store the pictures. Let's say cb2 dot I am right. So I am right, and inside that we are going to give it the dataset part. Let's say data sets, and with their username, let's say users, and let's say give here one dot. And now we are going to store it based on the ID. So let's say a string ID, then with their dot. So this is nothing but dot, so that we can actually, when I train the model, we can actually say that this is nothing but my ID and this is my name. So we need to also give here the count of that user. So let's say str, let's say this is nothing but a count, I mean how many pictures that I'm going to take actually. Then after that, I need to give here my image extension. Let's say called JPG. This is my image extensions. Then I need to crop the face. So let's say we're going to crop the face from the grayscale, because we need to save it in a grayscale mode. So let's say y to y plus s, and then to go from the x to x plus w, so that it will crop the correctly. And how you actually break the loop, after that, if let's say If the count is nothing but, let's say count is nothing but uh, less than 500, so just you're going to continue, otherwise you're going to break the loop. That's when after 500 images it will automatically break the loop. So then after that we are going to say that just you're going to print here something. Let's say print, let's dataset collected completely. Let's say dataset collection, let's say done, like that, right? Okay, that's like that. Let's close it now. So this is the code for that, how can you collect the data for the users. So now it's time to run the file and check that the file is stored on the dataset folder or not. So well, now it's time to collect the data. So I'm just going to go on here and run Python file, and you can say enter your ID, right? Let's keep your ID as a 1, and I'm going to click enter from the keyboard, and it will open the webcam for me, right? So you can see it open the webcam, it will take the images. Okay, so it'll go back or forward, right? So it will collect the data for you, it will take the 500 images, and after that it will actually store these uh, images inside the dataset folder. So that's, you can see. Well, so if I go on here dataset folder, you can see here all the images is actually stored on this folder, right? Well, so now we are going to jump on the step number 2, that's called training the model using the LBPH algorithm. So let's go on that. So well, so we collect our user data, and you can see here the pictures. It's available inside my dataset folder. So this is my pictures. Okay, some pictures. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do here, I'm just going to use this picture, and after that I'm going to train the model, right? So now let's go up and let's try to close it. Now I'm going to create here a new Python file. Let's call training. Let's say training demo.py. Well, so now I'm going to import here the CB2. Let's say import the CB2. And also I'm going to import here the NumPy, because we are going to convert this image into the NumPy array. So for that, I'm going to import here NumPy as np. And also we need the PIL, let's call the PLO library, in order to process the images, because we're going to use here one algorithm. Let's call the LBPH algorithm. So let's say from PIL, we're going to import here the image, right? This one. Then we need also the OS, because we are going to load the image from our directory that's called dataset. So now let's define here functions. So which one help us to fetch the data from the dataset folder, and we need to also extract the ID number in a single list, and also the face data into one NumPy array. So for that, what I can do, let's give here one method name. Let's say get image ID. Okay, get image ID. So it will take the path, I mean which path that you're going to go. So our path is nothing but our data set. So let's initialize it here. Let's say path equal to, that's our data sets. Okay, that's it. So now inside this method, first we're going to load all the images from the dataset folder. So for that, what I'm going to do here, we're going to simply use this os.listed. We are going to create here on the list of the dataset folder. So for that, we are going to make this path. Now what I can do, we're just going to use here one lambda function, so that we can actually iterate to all the images from the dataset folder. So for that, what I can do here, we are going to join the path with the dataset. So for that, os.path. Okay, so this path dot join. So we are going to join based on our path, and we have the listed, so that we can actually iterate to all the value from here. So for that, we can use here for f in os.listed. Then we are going to pass here the f, I mean the images. So this is one kind of lambda functions. So for that, we need to use here the third brackets. So this is the third bracket. Okay, well, so now it can actually do it, actually create here one list of the folder. Then it will iterate through all the value inside the f. Now the f is actually set from the path folder, right? And with their images. Let's say this is my path phase recognition projects, and now it will join the images, the app will join. That's me to actually right now the absolute path. So this is nothing but my image list. So it will fetch all the images from here because it will create here one list here. That's mean list of the images. So this is nothing but my image path. So this is one kind of list. So if I'm trying to print it out, let's say call this one. Let's say get image with ID. So I need to pass it the path. So let's say I'm just going to return here the image path. Okay, so if I'm trying to print it out, let's try to print it out. Let's try to print because it will return here one value. So if I'm trying to print it out, you can see here the path list. Just save it and go here and run Python file. So it will, you can see here the dataset folder. It will go to the dataset folder, and you can see here the images. So we have the all images as a list. Now what I can do, we can simply create here two lists, empty list, one for faces and another one for ID. So that's called the ID. So inside that we actually going to pass the ID of the images. If you see here on the data collect, we actually taking the ID from the users. So you're just going to pass it here. Now what I can do, we are going to iterate to all the images from the list. So for that, you're going to use here the for loop. Let's say image paths. So let's make it paths in image path. So this is my image path. Now we have the images in a single format. Now we can load the images using the image dot load. So okay, it should be not load, it should be open. Now we need to give here your image path. So this is my image paths. So image paths. Now I need to convert it to the L. So let's say convert. I just going to convert it. Okay, that should be the convert method. Let's say make it capital L. So this is my image. So this is my fetch image. Now what I can do, I'm just going to convert this fetch image into the NumPy array so that I can store it inside the empty list. So let's say face. Okay, that should be the np.array. So np.numpy np.array. Now I'm going to pass here my face images data in a uint format. So let's say uint8 unsigned integer 8-bit format. Then I'm going to pass it this my face numpy array. So let's say face np equal to numpy np.array. Then I need to extract the ID from here. So if I go here, you can see here this is my ID. So this is my first full stop. So what I can do is just going to go from the dataset path. If I check for the full stops, then after that it should be the ID. So this is how we can actually extract the ID from our image path. So for that, what I can do, we can, let's say this is called ID. Okay, this is called ID equal to let's say os dot path dot split. We're just going to split it. So when we should split, okay, we are going to split it from the image path, right? And we go to the rest of them. Then we are going to split it. So let's see split. So we're going to split it based on the dot, right? And the index number should be the 1, and this is one single one, right? So this is how we can actually extract the ID from here. So if I trying to return it, let's say this is my ID. Okay, so if I'm trying to run the file here and run Python file, so we can get the ID. Okay, np.array take one position argument, but 2 was given. Okay, so this is nothing but my face images. So if I'm trying to remove it, and let's run the code here again. Okay, we got some error. Western path dot split. Okay, accepted string byte or OS path like dot bit, not a list. Okay, we got this error because this is an object, it's not actual list. So that we need to give here the path of the image path correctly. So well, we got this error because this is, should be the image paths, right? So now if I am save it and try to run the code here, we can got here 1, right? So 1 is nothing but my ID that is coming from the dataset folder. You can see here 1, right? So that's why it actually gave me the 1 as ID. So we extract the data from here. Now if I'm trying to return the face np, so this is one kind of numpy array. So let's go here and try to run the code here. Now you can see how it's one kind of numpy array. Okay, so now what I can do here, we are going to now store it inside my empty list. So let's say faces dot append, and inside that I'm going to pass my face np. Then inside my IDs, we are going to append my IDs. So this should be my ID. So make sure that you convert them ID into the integer. So let's say integer of ID, just going to typecast, right? So we already append this one. So we can also see it. Let's say cb2.im show, so that we can see the training is happening. So let's say training, okay, training, like that. And I'm going to show the face np, okay, and also trying to keep here one wait key. So let's say cb2 dot wait key. I'm going to pass here one. Then I'm going to return here my ID and the face np, this one. So if I'm trying to run the code, let's say I'm going to run the code here. Okay, you can see a face data. You can see it actually training, converting on the data into numpy array. And also you can see numpy array, right? You can see data type should be uint8. It's by default taken. So this is how training is actually happening. Now what I can do, we load the data from the directory and convert the data into numpy array and with their corresponding ID. So now what I can do here, we're just going to simply use our recognizer, or you can say the algorithm. So let's say cb2.face, then it's called the lbps create. This is the algorithm. So if you want to learn more about this lbps algorithm, I'll put one link on the description. You can also go out here and try to learn about the lbps algorithm, how it actually work here. So let's say recognizer. So let's say recognizer, right? Okay, so this is my algorithm. Now I'm going to use this one in order to train my model. So for that, what I can do, I'm just going to simply call these functions. So this function actually give me IDs and my face data, right? This is called faces, right? Faces, and this is my IDs, right? Okay, let's make it D capital. So let's see this out. This is small, this small. Okay, fine. Now what I can do, I am just going to call this recognizer. So let's say recognizer dot simply call train. So now inside this train folder, I'm just going to pass my faces, and I need to pass the data of the IDs into numpy array. So let's convert them into numpy array. Okay, that should be the np.array, and inside that I'm going to pass my IDs. Okay, this should be my IDs. Then what I can do, I'm just going to save the recognizer model in my folder. So for that, I'm going to use here recognizer dot write. So this is how we can train a model. So let's say call trainer dot yml format. We need to save it. Then we can say cb2 dot destroy all windows. Okay, then we can also print here something. Let's say print, let's say training complete. Okay, or you can say completed, right? So now let's try to run the code here. Just go here and run the Python file, and you can see all the picture is actually loading, and our recognizer is waiting for training the files. Okay, so we have some error. So the number of sample suits must be equal to the numbers of labels. So what's length of 204, and the length of labels should be 0. Okay, and function, okay, we got some error because the data of the faces and also the numpy array, it's not matching. Okay, so what I can do, let's say give it face data and try to pass it. So well, we got this error because we forget to return this IDs, not these IDs. So that's why we got this error. Just save it now and try to run the file here again. Just run the Python file, and you'll try to load all the images from the directory and convert it into the numpy array. And also trying to train it using the recognizer. Okay, already got the same error, right? So let's see. So well, we do the same mistake here because we need to return the faces, not the faces NP. So that's why you got this error. Now let's run the code here. Finally, I think right now it will working, and the recognizer will call and try to training the file. Well, it will training the file. Now you can see, okay, fine. You can see a training completed, and you can see a trainer.yml file is generated. Now using this file, we are going to test our model that how it actually work. So this is the step number 2. It's completed. Now we're going to jump on the step number 3. That's called the testing part, right? So let's go on there. So now our training is completed. So what I'm going to do here, we're just going to test our model that it is actually working here fine or not. So for that, what I'm going to do here, we just simply create here one Python file. Let's say called test model. Let's say model.py, right? So we need also one camera. So what I can do is just going to copy this code from the data collect, and I'm just going to do some changes on that. So we don't need it. Okay, we need the rectangle, right? But we don't, I'm right. And we don't need also the input ID. We need the cascade classifier. Well, now what I can do here, we are going to simply use this grayscale image inside our recognizer. So for that, we need to also import the recognizer. So let's say cb2.face.lbph create. So this is called lbph create. So if I go on the training demo, this one is my recognizer. You can also copy this out from here. Just copy this out, and I'm just going to paste it, and I'm going to define inside one variable that's called recognizer, right? Recognizer equal to cb2.face.lbph face recognizer underscore create, right? So we create our recognizer. We don't need also count, so we can make it k equal to ord. If anyone press q from the keyboard, it will automatically break the row. Simple. Now, so we load the recognizer. I mean, we actually initialize the recognizer. So now we're going to load the model that we actually trained. So for the, let's say recognizer dot, we're going to use here the read, and we are going to give here the path of my YML file. So this is my trainer, okay, trainer.yml file. Simple. Now we can simply use this recognizer.predict functions in order to recognize the person that is available inside the frame. Let's say recognizer.predict, right? So you're going to predict based on the faces about on the grayscale images. If I go on here on the data collect, you can see here this is my user data, and you're going to just using the face data. So just going to copy this out and going to pass it here. Just predict, and it will give me the true value, because if I go on the recognizer, it will actually give me one IDs and another one is nothing but my face. So it will also give me the serial number, I mean my number that I am actually pass here as ID, and one confidence value. Let's say conf. So let's say if the confidence is 50% off, so that if the confidence is 50%, we can say that this is face is detected, this is a known person. Otherwise, you can say that this is one unknown person. So what I can do, if confidence is less than 50, so we're just going to draw the rectangle, and you can also put text the name of the person, right? So we have the images of one person, so we can create here one list. So let's say call name underscore list equal to, we have the 0th index is nothing but empty, and the second index is my name, let's say Machando. And you can also add any kind of name here. Okay, you just need to take the collect, you need to collect the data for the another users. So now what I can do here, I'm just going to use here the cb2.putText. So let's say cb2.putText. So this is the put text. So now this put text actually taking the image. So our image is nothing but my frame. Then I have my text. So I'm going to start the text from the name list. Let's say name list. Okay. So here is it. Okay, name list. And from that, I am just going to pass my index number that is coming from my prediction. So just going to pass here my prediction. So this is my serial number, right? I mean this serial, so it should be the serial, not serial. And then what can I do here? I'm just going to give here the coordinate. So let's give here x comma y minus 40. That's my coordinate. And the font face, let's say cb2 dot font, let's say hash, let's say simplex. And here to keep here on font scale, let's keep here 1. And the color, let's say give here red color 50 comma 50 comma 255. And also thickness, let's keep here -1, so that, okay, let's keep here 2, okay, of the thickness. So if the confidence value is less than 50, so we can say that this is one unknown person, right? So else we can say that this is one unknown person. So just going to copy this out, and I'm going to pass it here, and we can simply make this unknown person to be the unknown, right? That's it. Okay, well, so this name list, and from the string we are going to start the serial from here, right? So well, now it's time to run the code. So let's go on here and run the Python file, and it will open the webcam for me. You can see a webcam access is allowed, and right now open is on, right? You can see he detect my face correctly, right? My webcam quality is not so good, that's why it gave me some kind of error result also, but that's fine. So now what I'm going to do here is just going to give here some style and also one background images that you can see here. So if I press Q from the keyboard, and it will automatically gone. And you can see this is a background picture that you're going to set here the frame. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do some changes on my code. So well, I'm just going to paste here the code. Well, so this is the code, and I need to do some indentation check, right? That's it, and that's it. It also do the same thing for unknown faces. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just going to do some uh, format of the code. Well, that's fine. If I run the code here again and go to run Python file, and now you can see some formations. Just avoid. Okay, to open the webcam, now you can see here it's detecting face correctly, and one rectangle boxes. That's really good. Looks now. Now what I'm gonna do here, we're going to just add here the background so that it looks better, right? So let's see how can I do that, right? So well, let's close this out. Now we are going to load these images. That's called background.png. So let's say image background equal to, let's say, cb2.imread, and we are going to pass here the path of that. Let's say background.png, and then I'm going to set it on my frame. So how can I do that? I just going to paste here the code. This is my image background, and this is my frame, and this is my image background. So I'm just going to show my image background here. Okay, now let's save it. So well, now it's time to run the code. So let's go on here and try to run the Python file. So it will open the webcam for me, and now you can see here it's unknown. Oh my god, I think we do some mistake here. Let's check this out. Okay, so if you see the confidence value, so it should be the greater than 50, so that it can actually recognize the face correctly. Now if you run the code here again, now it can distinguish between the real face and the known face and also the unknown face, right? So you can see here right now my name is appeared Chando, and if I'm trying to see here another picture, let's say see the picture of the Prabhash, the actor, you can see here it's called the unknown, right? This is how you can also test it out with the any kind of image, right? Because this image is not set to the database, right? So what I can do, we can also take the data of that, and you can also test it out. So how can we do that? So let's go on the data collector and go to the run Python file, and we need to give here the ID. So we already give here the ID should be the 1. Now the ID should be the 2. Then we need to hit enter, and it will collect the data for the person. Well, it will take the pictures of the Prabhash, right? It will take the 500 images, right? So see, it will take a few minutes, right? So now I need to go on the training demo and try to run the code here. That's a run Python file. And now you can see here the image of mine and also the pictures of Prabhash. It also taken from the images from my mobile phone. See, it will actually loading all the images from the directory. And after that, it will actually generate the training.yml file, right? Then it will do the training part. And after that, you can also test it out, right? So just to what, it will take few seconds to train the model. You can see a training completed. Now it's time to test the model. So go on the test model. And now you need to do add here another name. It's called Prabhash. That's Prabs, right? Well, so now let's run the code here, run Python file. Okay, and try to check this out. Okay, webcam opening, open Hoja. Yep, opening. You can see here Chandu, and if I see the pictures, you can see a Pravas. Cool, it's working fine. Now you can see here, okay, no, right now, Pravas. Well, see, in the single frame, it detects the multiple faces. Actually, I got one comment in my YouTube comment box. So that's why I decided to make this video, because he commented me that how can you how can you detect the multiple faces in one single frame? And also how can we actually detect the unknown faces also? So this video is just only for you. Okay. So that's it for today now. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial and make sure to subscribe to the channels and don't forget to hit the bell icon. And I'll be back with the tutorial. So till then, take care and bye bye.